Today, a tale unfolds that echoes familiar themes. Relish every moment. James Hartley faced a day that shattered him completely. It's not every day your beautiful young wife, just 24, declares she'll be seeing other men starting tonight. James lingered in silence at the kitchen table, gripping a glass of monkey shoulder whiskey tightly. For 10 minutes, he stared at the amber liquid, untouched. He sat frozen, eyes vacant, lost in a storm of unspoken agony. James realized that no amount of Alka-Seltzer could ease his suffering. He had heard tales of men whose wives confessed to affairs, but he dismissed them as mere myths. How could she believe her devoted husband would ever consent to that? James was stunned, unable to fathom how a woman could be so cold towards her husband, so openly consumed by her own wants. It was a Monday, yet the day at his company sparkled with promise. He stepped out of the office just after 5, whistling a bright melody, a hint of joy in the air. He walked in, spirits high, until he saw her at the kitchen table, pouring red wine, his favorite whiskey waiting, untouched, beside her. He let the briefcase fall, filled a glass, and sank into the chair. "What's the truth, Charlotte?" James inquired, his gaze fixed on the mischievous grin of his wife. She locked her gaze on him, a smirk playing on her lips. Her gaze pierced him, stirring a deep unease within. He winced, anxiety etched on his face. "Have I truly been a good wife and mother all this time?" she inquired with a steady voice. James's brow tightened, a storm brewing within. He sensed her awareness of his depth. The way she could almost visualize the thoughts racing through his mind before he finally replied, "Yes, I think so." "What exactly are you implying with that?" he inquired, his calm unwavering. Seconds stretched as James weighed his answer, tension thick in the air. "Should I be recognized for being a devoted husband and father?" he inquired. "What sort of question is that, James?" Charlotte snapped, her frustration boiling over. "Today, I want to go on a date with another man," she said, like a serene lake at dawn. James felt the weight of the world as he sank into his seat. He felt a surge of nausea clawing at his insides. His mind was a barren void, stark and desolate. A date? He fought to speak, his words tangled with another man's presence. Charlotte gazed at her husband, a mix of disbelief and pity in her eyes, and nodded slowly. "Yes, with someone else, Trav. It's been 24 years since I last dated another man, the moment we became exclusive. I've been devoted to you, a caring mother to our kids. I deserve one night with another man. A fleeting escape, not love, just pure pleasure. At 48, beauty feels fleeting. I crave the thrill of new connections while I still hold the power to attract them effortlessly." James's jaw fell, a silent gasp of disbelief. He was certain he understood his wife, but surely she couldn't be serious, could she? He knew the answer without uttering a word. Charlotte's gaze met his, a silent understanding passing between them. "Damn," he muttered, watching her rise from the table and ascend the stairs to the bedroom, a storm of emotions swirling within him. As Charlotte descended the stairs, the little black dress hugged her figure, leaving everyone breathless. It featured a daring cutout at her chest, and its length barely grazed the middle of her thigh. The makeup was barely there. A stunning woman requires little, her long blonde hair swept into a high ponytail. The spectacle was breathtaking. In that instant, Charlotte realized everything. He belonged to her entirely. "I won't allow this, Charlotte," James declared, rising from the table, Your thoughts and actions are a mystery to me, but this will not continue if you are to remain my wife." Charlotte's radiant smile twisted into a sinister grin. "This evening won't be ruined by you, Trav. You can shout, but deep down, you know leaving me isn't an option. Where will you discover a woman like me if you let me go? It's a dead end, and you feel it. The children will hate you for tearing our family apart. Endure it, James. Just a few years of fun, and then it will be us, growing old together. You can't deny it. Your heart knows the truth. You'll be trapped in solitude while I have endless choices before me." The car horn blared. Charlotte snatched her bag and rushed to James, yearning for one last kiss. He recoiled, a tremor coursing through him, and stepped aside. Charlotte's surprise flickered, quickly morphing into a fierce anger. "I will return home." "I don't know when," she whispered, walking away. His heart sank as she stepped through the door, leaving him in a chilling silence. Is his 24-year marriage coming to an end? It seems so. He pondered. Charlotte left without a glance, the door closing behind her like a final breath. It's a harsh reality. Those blessed with beauty often find life easier than their less fortunate counterparts. They forge connections effortlessly, draw more eyes, and teachers often favor them with higher marks. For Charlotte, it spiraled downward, and the pain deepened. At 13, with her chest blossoming, she discovered the power of her gaze and smile. With a flutter of her lashes, she could capture any boy's heart. For those elusive ones, a simple puff was all it took. With a subtle lift of her chest, the pact was made. From their very first encounter, James was captivated by Charlotte, just like every boy before him. His family relocated to the city just before he stepped into 8th grade. On the first day of school, he saw Charlotte and was instantly entranced. James shone on the field, adored by his peers. At last, he found the courage to ask Charlotte out, and to his surprise, she said yes. They were a couple, but as junior year began, Charlotte chose Harry Thompson, the star of the football team, leaving the young man heartbroken. In that instant, James measured 1.63 meters and weighed 50 kilograms, while Estes towered at 1.88 meters and tipped the scales at 86 kilograms. Hurt but resolute, James embraced his fate. He realized Charlotte was far beyond his reach in beauty. Most boys at school couldn't compete with Charlotte's beauty. She was with a football player. She mingled with the elite crowd at school. James drifted through the hallways, a mere shadow among the faceless minions. He connected with a few chosen students, forming friendships, yet Charlotte remained untouched by his words. In fleeting moments at school, she looked through him, as if he were nothing but a ghost. Initially, fury consumed him, but in time, he found a way to embrace it. In his senior year, James shot up 23 centimeters and packed on 18 kilograms. He was striking and fit, yet he felt worlds away from Charlotte. Indeed, hardly any compared. He arrived at the prom with his beautiful yet unremarkable girlfriend. That evening, they exchanged their unapproachable. Charlotte reigned as prom queen, her date the king. Together, they shone. She had a night after graduation, but before that, she was anything but untouchable. She was a pawn, drawn into his game, always a tempting choice for any guy fortunate enough to win Charlotte's heart. After high school, James embarked on a journey to University of Michigan, driven by a passion for accounting. In 4 years of study, he dated many girls, yet none captured his heart. Charlotte studied marketing at Western Michigan University. In college, she entangled herself with numerous men, including a marketing professor, all in a desperate bid to transform her AB into an A. Years of being desired had sharpened Charlotte's skills in the game. Fate intertwined their paths as they landed jobs in Ann Arbor right after college. A year post-graduation, James and his colleagues reveled in a Friday night at a bustling bar when Charlotte entered, flanked by two friends. Every gaze snapped to the captivating woman in the daring green dress, her neckline drawing attention like a magnet. Charlotte hardly noticed it. It was just another moment in a life she had grown accustomed to. Who is this divine being? Thomas Wright rasped to the gathered colleagues. In a heartbeat, James blurted out, "This, ladies and gentlemen, is Charlotte, the goddess, and your humble servant's 8th grade girlfriend." All eyes shifted from the woman to James, disbelief etched on their faces. "Have you seen her?" One of them gasped in disbelief. James flinched, a wave of discomfort washing over him. He loathed the spotlight, shunning any gaze that lingered on him. "I was just 14 when we stepped into senior high school. Shrouded in a copper basin, I remained unseen, ignored for 4 long years. Like a ghost," he whispered. "Do you have a wild tale about groping one of the women at the table?" One of the team members cracked a joke. The team erupted in joyous laughter. Charlotte and her friends exchanged a charged glance, the air thick with unspoken words. She felt a flicker of recognition for one of the men at the table, but doubt gnawed at her. The trio settled at a nearby table. Charlotte's gaze locked onto the man she recognized all too well. "Hey, are you really not coming over to say hi?" White inquired. "Thomas, you're drooling, man." "Not impressive at all," remarked the first interviewer, Rachel Green. "For 4 years, she acted like I was a stranger." James questioned, "Why would she remember me now?" Heads bobbed in silent accord. Charlotte's gaze lingered on the man, savoring each bite of her meal. With a sharp snap of her fingers, she pointed directly at the man. "It's bad, Charlotte," one of her friends whispered. Pointing at someone in a restaurant could lead to unexpected pain. In certain moments, she brushed aside her friend's words. Lost in her own turmoil, "I'll be back," she declared, a spark of urgency in her voice. "I must reach out to a long-lost friend." Charlotte leaped from her chair, urgency propelling her toward the table where James sat. "Hey, Trav." "So glad to see you," Charlotte exclaimed, rushing toward him. James sighed, glancing at his friends before forcing a smile at his former classmate. "Charlotte, it's good to see you," James said, his voice flat as he stood up. Charlotte stepped close, her lips brushing against James's in a soft, lingering kiss, her hands resting gently on his shoulders. His colleagues were left speechless. James was left speechless. Charlotte's realization sparked a smile, one that danced on the edge of mischief. She thrived in the game, confident he would falter. "Come, let's find our table." "I'll introduce you to the girls," she whispered, her eyes sparkling with secrets. She seized his hand, pulling him fiercely to her table. He lingered through the night with Charlotte and her two friends, each moment heavy with unspoken tension. Before he walked away, Charlotte snatched his phone, saved her number, and jotted down his. Charlotte felt a sharp pang as James's indifference pierced through her curiosity. She had never experienced this before. He was courteous at the restaurant, yet his attention was divided, equally engaging with her two friends as he was with her throughout the night. Her lips met his, again and again, but he remained unresponsive. On Monday morning, James's colleagues at the bar confronted him about his relationship with the goddess. They were left speechless when he revealed he had lingered at the bar for just an hour before going home. She's extraordinary, yet she's so far beyond my reach. He sighed, a weight in his voice. This pain is unnecessary. 2 days later, as James left work, a wave of distress crashed over him in the parking lot. He muttered under his breath, eyes locked on her by the car. In that dress, one size too small, she was a vision, intense and irresistible. Why didn't you reach out, Trav? Her voice barely a whisper as he drew near. James fought to keep his gaze steady, yet his eyes betrayed him, devouring Charlotte like a starved man encountering his long-lost feast. The top hung open, revealing her cleavage, while the hem flirted dangerously close to her thighs. "Curse it," he whispered under his breath. As she leaned in, arms encircling his neck, her lips met his, leaving him utterly vulnerable. Her tongue slithered into his mouth, fierce and consuming. He tossed aside his briefcase, lost in the endless kiss. Stunned, his colleagues jumped into their cars and sped off, leaving chaos behind. They ventured to a distant restaurant, joyfully dining, yet Charlotte's fingers nervously tugged at her dress throughout the meal. James and the young waitress reveled in her turmoil. James felt the weight of caution, yet the moment Charlotte, a vision of allure, unleashed her charm, he was utterly lost. His only hope was to leave a lasting impression in the bedroom that night. James gasped, his breath hitching as he beheld Charlotte, vulnerability laid bare before him. She was the goddess of his dreams, a vision of perfection that James had always envisioned. With everything on the line, he had to focus. One slip, one moment of weakness, and he could lose it all to desire. Spent and breathless, they lay entwined, gazing deep into one another's souls. Charlotte's smile was charged with desire. She whispered, "I messed up, and it haunts me still. Your talents are extraordinary. Who could have imagined? If only I had realized we had wasted so much time, Trav." Charlotte felt the weight of the moment as it unfolded before her eyes. James may not have been her type, but his charm, fitness, and promising future were undeniable. "He's incredible in bed," she mused, but kept silent. James wrestled with doubts about her, shadows of insecurity lingering, yet their bond deepened, transforming with each passing moment. Her beauty captivated him, yet it was the essence of Charlotte that truly stole his heart. "I bought an engagement ring, but just before I could propose, we had a raw conversation about fidelity." She had captivated him, yet James craved complete honesty between them. "I can see there's a story behind you, one I can't quite grasp." "I won't ask about numbers or names," James said, his voice steady as they settled into the weight of the moment. "The past is a shadow, forever behind us. I feel the same way. I must understand what lies ahead. I want us to be completely exclusive, starting now. No excuses, no hesitation. If you doubt your ability to do this for us, I need to hear it now." He set a small black box on the table, tension crackling in the air. Charlotte locked eyes with James, then glanced at the box. "I will remain faithful to my husband, always, never." James recalled those words, echoing in his mind. His wife had forewarned him. So to her, it wasn't cheating at all. He felt the weight of the lie pressing down on him. She longed for him to see it that way. If he didn't, it meant he couldn't accept it. James felt the weight of Charlotte's choices. Each temptation she faced a test of loyalty. She had turned them all away, embodying the devotion he expected from her. She was perfection, a dazzling 12, while he saw himself as merely a 6. Someone at her level could easily slip in and leave a mark. If she wasn't unfaithful, then for 24 years, she truly embodied the role of a devoted wife. James felt the weight of ungratefulness, despite the years that had passed. When he uttered those words, he envisioned eternity, not just a fleeting 24 years. Every week, proposals flooded in for Charlotte, from all kinds of admirers, not just men. She realized she was more than beautiful. She was extraordinary, a rare goddess amidst mere mortals. James often claimed that the day God created his wife was nothing short of extraordinary. Initially, Charlotte shared every instance of being hit on with James, striving for total honesty. Yet after some time, James felt a deep trust in her, believing she needn't share every detail. He would only care if the pest ignored her first refusal. Then, he would act, driving the offender away. Women seldom approached James. He wielded his wedding ring like a shield. In moments, James extolled his wife and children, snuffing out any flicker of attraction that dared to ignite. He was oblivious, and most women withdrew before they could even begin to flirt. Charlotte remained blissfully unaware of her husband's subtle rejections, oblivious to the darker implications lurking beneath. A fairy tale marriage unraveled after 22 years when Emma Esposito stepped into the Garden of Eden, joining the same public relations firm as Charlotte. She was a dark-haired beauty, her big brown eyes and ample chest captivating all who dared to look. Men were drawn in, irresistibly, like metal to a powerful magnet. In another world, she would have ruled as an alpha. But at Prime Connections, she was reduced to a loyal shadow of the most captivating woman alive. At 43, Emma had spent 15 years in a marriage she never truly embraced. She had affairs, some known to her husband, others hidden, and she frequently recounted her escapades to Charlotte. She wove tales that captivated, where intimacy with her lovers felt almost surreal. So, you haven't been with anyone since tying the knot? Is that all you are? A rock woman? I can't believe you don't want this, Emma said one day during a coffee break at work. I'm curious, sure, but I would never betray James, Charlotte said, her voice steady yet filled with unspoken tension. Recently, Charlotte felt the sting of fading attention from men in bars and restaurants, a sharp contrast to her past experiences. She caught the glances that once belonged to her, now aimed at younger women. Doubt crept in, gnawing at her confidence to attract, to even entertain the what-if game. What if your husband gives you the chance? What now? Emma was asked. Charlotte's expression revealed a shocking realization, as if the thought had never crossed her mind until now. Her mind raced, thoughts colliding in a chaotic whirlwind. If I had permission, it would change everything, Charlotte confessed, a playful glint in her eyes. Have you ever considered seeking consent? Emma, what do you think? Everything valuable demands a bold request. Charlotte's mind raced, a sudden realization crashing over her. Her smile ignited, then extinguished. You will always deny me that freedom. Never, Charlotte whispered, her voice trembling. Must I sacrifice it all for you? Emma inquired. Silent consent. Reveal your desires, then seize what you crave, no matter his response. Tell him he loves you enough to set you free, that you'll endure this because love remains untouched, that your heart belongs solely to him. James jolted awake, heart racing at the sound of a car drawing near. He glanced at his watch. 3 o'clock in the morning. Time slipped away, heavy with silence. He stared at the bottle of Woodford Reserve, realizing he had drained nearly half. What a night, right? He shot a quick remark at Charlotte as she stepped inside. James stared, heart heavy, at the shadow of the woman he once knew. Her hair, combed yet wild, makeup absent, clothes a chaotic mess. Her expression was one of smug satisfaction, devoid of any remorse. "I could say the same to you," she spat, her eyes blazing. "You could have come sooner. I'm heading to sleep." "You might be too, but never again in this life with you," he shot back. Charlotte shot him a disgusted glance before storming up the stairs. James filled his glass with bourbon, the amber liquid swirling as he returned his gaze to the screen. He lingered in his folding chair, caught between sitting and lying, his stomach growling in the silence of the night. At 9, he Emma from his chair, hunger driving him to the kitchen. As he ate, the sudden rush of water from the master bathroom pierced the silence. James usually anticipated his wife's arrival in a robe, hair wrapped in a towel, but today felt different. This morning, she lingered upstairs for an hour. When she finally emerged, her hair was perfectly dry, her outfit flawless, and her makeup stunning, just as always. He anticipated it all along. "Did you leave me anything to eat?" she inquired. "I brewed a strong pot of coffee. Now it's your turn to cook. Now that you're dressed at home, it's time we talk," he declared firmly. Charlotte couldn't shake the shock of James's cold demeanor. She anticipated his rage, wild and unhinged, believing it would make him a pawn in her game. Rational James would complicate the conversation immensely. She pondered deeply. "Curious about what happened last night," she whispered. James sensed a sharp edge of superiority in her voice. Does she truly think he cares about how he was betrayed? Barely. "How do you envision our marriage progressing?" James asked, his voice barely above a whisper. "I will explore other men over the coming years. Just intimacy, no love. I love you, but I crave the thrill of exploring others while I still can. For 24 years, I poured my soul into you, never once imagining betrayal could exist. I crave the rush of the unknown. You're amazing, but I crave something different. Let's take some time apart, and then we'll ride off into the sunset together. I'll cherish this moment forever and pamper you like no other," Charlotte vowed. James hung on every word as Charlotte spoke, her hands deftly spreading jam on toast for his coffee. He found her casual buttering of toast while discussing his life's most crucial moments chillingly indifferent. Questions swirled in his mind, each one more urgent than the last. Is it all just for the thrill of something new? "Am I insufficient for you?" he inquired, voice trembling. She opened her mouth to speak, but he cut her off. "So, you plan to explore an open marriage for a while, then circle back to monogamy later? So, does this mean I can see other people as well?" Charlotte fought to stifle her laughter, but it escaped her anyway. The thought of her gentle, reserved husband seeking another woman's company was utterly absurd. James was the most committed to marriage of any man she had ever known. Yet, if this is the price for his agreement, then yes, she replied. "I can only imagine that's how it is for you. It will be right on time." James lifted his eyebrows, a silent question hanging in the air, and shrugged, the weight of uncertainty heavy on his shoulders. Charlotte felt a surge of confusion as the movement unfolded before her. Yet, a spark ignited within her. How about a date with Emma? She's truly wonderful, you know, from my office. Charlotte felt a surge of hope as she spoke, certain her friend would easily agree. The thought of a night with her husband seemed trivial, especially if it meant helping Charlotte explore her desires while still holding on to her marriage. James stared, confusion etched on his face. The 22-year-old bachelor burned with desire for Emma. The 48-year-old married man felt the weight of his choices, knowing he couldn't go through with it. "I'd love to go out with Emma, but no, sweetheart, thanks anyway." "That would make me just as much a traitor as you were last night," he said, his voice heavy with betrayal. Charlotte's smile twisted into a fierce grimace of anger. "I am not a traitor," she screamed. "If you insist, baby," he said, his tone unexpectedly grave, "but I still can't agree to it. Wake up, darling, because I'll go through with this, whether you join me or not," she scoffed. Monday morning, 11 o'clock. Emma entered Charlotte's office, and the tension was palpable. Charlotte's unhappiness hung in the air. "To hell with this bigot and the horse he rode in on," Charlotte hissed, slamming the office door behind Emma. Frustration bubbled within her as Emma frowned. "He wouldn't even go out with you." "I had no idea I was the main course, but so be it. How could he possibly say no?" she whispered, her hands gliding over her skin. "Care for a date?" "Did you enjoy yourself? Or did James spoil it all?" Emma asked. The date was unforgettable. Charlotte couldn't help but rave about how Edward truly knows how to ignite a woman's pleasure. "It's been ages since I touched another man. I truly appreciate the contrast. Who should I pursue next?" They erupted in laughter. Charlotte felt a flicker of hope. The divorce papers had not yet arrived. With no contact between them, she chose silence over inquiry about his plans. James kept his secret. Deep down, he feared the end of his marriage. I wish she would snap out of it and drop her foolish schemes to betray him. He thought forgiveness was possible, that they could move past her wrongs if only she would end this madness. His heart raced when Charlotte skipped the date, yet the bedroom remained untouched, and their silence lingered, heavy and unresolved. That Friday evening, Charlotte was impeccably dressed, clearly poised for a date. "Are you really going to go through this again with him? Or do you want to try someone new this week?" James snapped. "Damn, Trav. Didn't you hear a single word I said? It's not your story. It's mine. I crave something before time slips away, and I lose my chance to connect. I don't desire you less. I crave more, something different. People never stop bothering me. All I crave is a moment of peace. I will always return to you," she whispered. "What if I wish for you to stay away forever? I can't share this with you. I refuse to watch you enjoy yourself without me. This isn't for me. I refuse to stand by while you explore every man in our city." On our first date, uncertainty lingered, yet I felt a spark that promised survival. It might be foolishness, but twice, it's a deep disrespect, a profound betrayal. We'll be out all night, lost in the chaos. It's over. "This isn't my purpose," he whispered, his voice shaking. "Wah, W, W," she whispered, her fingers dancing in the air. "You can't afford to let me go." "It can be both," he insisted. Last week, James had his lawyer ready the documents, praying they would remain untouched. He intended to call his wife Monday morning, but first, he had to reach out to his two daughters and share the news. Amelia, 22, and Isabel, 2021, listened to their father's call that evening, masking their disbelief. After speaking with both, he realized his eldest daughter might not have merely sensed something was amiss. "You knew she would unleash this nightmare, and you said nothing," he yelled into the phone. You believe I should remain in the dark about what's coming. Daddy, I'm in a tough spot. Please help me. No matter my choices, one of you would always be dissatisfied with me. It's her body. It's not yours to claim. If she wants to share it, stop. Don't go on, James shouted. I see that she placed you in the middle, but don't pretend she can act freely, because this body belongs to her. We made promises. The pledge silenced his words about her form, yet he pressed on. I get it, but her words faded into silence, leaving a heavy stillness behind. I'm so sorry, baby, she whispered, her voice trembling. At 2 a.m., Charlotte stepped inside, but James was gone. Despite arriving an hour earlier than before, she appeared even more disheveled. Oliver Bennett was a towering figure, his strength overwhelming, unlike anyone Charlotte had ever known in the heat of passion. By the night's end, she was barely able to stir. By tomorrow, she would bear the marks of his grip, bruises that told a story of pain and power. It was a night to remember, she realized. Another time, she would savor Oliver. Charlotte's heart raced as the divorce papers landed on her desk, a jarring reminder of her shattered world. She wept uncontrollably and fled to the restroom. Moments later, drawn by the sound, Emma emerged. You should have known he'd at least hand you the documents, Emma said. You shattered him, love. He seeks revenge, a painful balance restored. Men are like little boys. He's pushing you to make it happen. He clings to his 24-year marriage, unwilling to part with half of what he owns. Just give him a week alone. He'll be back, begging, she said, her voice a mix of hope and pain. With determination, Charlotte straightened, approached her desk, and swiftly dialed her husband's number. How could you betray me like this, here, in front of them all? Your pain is clear, but I need more. Trav, she shouted, her voice raw with urgency. After 24 years, shouldn't I get more than your sudden choice to change everything between us? If I'm not the one for you, why not give me a heads up? We could have ended things with some dignity, James declared. I reject civility. I can't bear the thought of losing us. I love you still. You love me still. Her cries pierced the silence. My love for you lingers, yet with each night you share with another, it fades a little more. He snarled. My love has limits, unlike yours. I believed it without question. Who can say? Perhaps we were both mistaken. Charlotte battled fiercely for her freedom. Her lawyer pushed for marriage counseling, but James fiercely resisted. Charlotte's smile flickered, while James's frown deepened as they stepped into the consultant's realm, where Margaret Wilson awaited them, poised in one of the chairs at the desk. Marriage counselors often see their role as mending the fractures that lead couples toward divorce. It appears, the consultant began, that female counselors show a bias towards women. Time to fix the mistakes. Let's begin with the most straightforward matter, Mrs. Wesley. Did you honestly tell your husband you'd be dating other men for years? James fought to hide the smirk threatening to break free from his lips as the consultant spoke. Charlotte fought to mask her shock from the consultant. She considered deception, but quickly understood she lacked a crafted tale to support it. Yes, I told him. It had to be said. Her voice barely broke the silence. That's all I desire. I can stand on my own. This won't change us. I believe this is where we conclude, the consultant stated. I regret taking your time, Mrs. Wesley. I'll confront the judge and put an end to this charade. But, Charlotte stammered, her voice trembling. Sweetheart, if you believed for a second that your actions against your husband would sway me, You're delusional. Your lack of shame is truly appalling. You truly repulse me, Margaret Wilson declared. For a month, Charlotte reached out to James relentlessly, her calls and texts flooding in as he settled into a small apartment close to home. Silence engulfed the air. No calls, no texts. Only unanswered questions lingered. She reached out to their daughters, who called again and again. Dad, deep down, you still love her. If she ended things with the others, would you reconsider her? Isabel's voice pierced through the silence, a question hanging heavy in the air. She persists, even after I served her? James whispered, his voice quaking. Silence echoed back to him. That was everything he sought. Isabel fell silent, leaving him in the void of unspoken words. James couldn't believe how fast the news of his divorce circulated, particularly among the single women around him. Women at his workplace and mutual friends reached out, offering their heartfelt condolences for his marital struggles. He understood that not every word of sympathy was genuine. Sophie Patel, a close friend of his wife, reached out, her voice heavy with sorrow for the turmoil engulfing James's life. She extended more than just a shoulder. She offered him solace in his darkest moment. James couldn't believe it. His wife's best friend was coming on to him, bold and unashamed. Throughout their years of knowing each other, the divorced woman never once looked his way. I could never go after my friend's husband. It's simply not right, she whispered to him. Now that you're free, everything has changed. I want you to know that you have my heart. Stunned? I'm honored, Sophie, but I'm still tied down. No dating until the divorce is done. I know it's foolish, but I won't betray, James declared. You're such a goody two-shoes, Trav. I truly admire this about you. I've always loved it. Can you at least arrange a date when you're available? Sophie inquired. Of course, James replied, his voice heavy. But I can't be the wedge between you and Charlotte. Years of friendship bind you tightly. Your sensitivity is valued, yet even if it seems foolish, I won't let it keep me from a truly good person. If you were just some guy I didn't know, I wouldn't even hesitate, Sophie said. Perhaps I'll reach out once I set the leash free, James teased. Sophie stood at 5 feet, an Asian beauty with a sculpted figure and flowing black hair that cascaded to her waist. James's heart raced at the sight of her. He couldn't believe it. She was actually interested in him. James kept his promise, reaching out to Sophie the moment his divorce was finalized. Saturday night unfolded with a dinner at a restaurant, followed by the soulful embrace of a local jazz club. Sophie sensed James's discomfort and pointed it out. I feel like a clueless kid, he replied. It's been 26 long years since I last shared a date with another woman. Please tell me that wallet protection isn't the same as the one from your last date before Charlotte, she teased, a spark of mischief in her eyes. Could I have shielded myself? Oh no, I completely overlooked that. I'm just a beginner, James admitted. As the night drew to a close, Sophie pressed her lips softly against James's, a moment charged with unspoken emotions. They left the date electrified, hearts racing, as he vowed to call again. James removed his wedding ring on divorce day, unaware of its weighty significance for single women. His bare ring finger caught their eyes, sparking whispers and glances. Flirting surged, electrifying the office atmosphere. It was a revelation for him. One day, during lunch, he confided in his best friend at the office. This office is filled with stunning women. How could I have missed this all along? James inquired. You, my friend, were nothing but a pathetic, henpecked man, William Davies declared. Your love for her consumed you, blinding you to all others as if they were mere shadows. She's stunning, no question. But you handed her your courage, and perhaps that was where it all went wrong. She faces relentless trials, each one holding significance, and you are expertly prepared. A palpable energy surrounded you, causing every woman to look away in the month following your divorce. In the month following the divorce, James plunged into the dating scene, going on 4 dates, 2 with Sophie. He hadn't slept with any of the 3 women he dated, but that wasn't what he sought. In the second month, he remained highly sought after, entangled with 2 women, James's daughters, who had turned to their mother more than their father lately. She often claims she can have any man she desires with a mere snap of her fingers, while their father, an ordinary man in his 40s, struggles just to find a partner, let alone a lasting girlfriend. 2 months post-divorce, they felt a pang of sympathy for their father. One Saturday morning, they decided to visit his apartment, unannounced. James stirred, frustration boiling within him as the clock struck 8:36. Sleep had slipped through his fingers, stolen by the late-night revelry with his companion. Lily, a broken 26-year-old, was the daughter of a distant acquaintance in desperate need of a dependable man for a wedding. The night unfolded perfectly, leading the couple to retreat to James's apartment. He opened the door, robe-clad, to find her sleeping in his bed. What did you say? He burst through the door, greeted by the radiant smiles of his daughters, clutching bags of bagels, smoked salmon, and cream cheese. Father, it's me. Can your precious daughters join us for breakfast? We're home, Amelia whispered, her voice barely breaking the silence as they stepped inside. James pressed his lips to their cheeks, then guided them to the kitchen table, where they unveiled the contents of their bags. Lily emerged from the bedroom, clad in James's white shirt, half-buttoned, likely with nothing beneath. The bagels were still being put away. I'm sorry. I had no idea you were waiting for company, baby, Lily whispered. Mom said you're in charge of your own fate. No, Lily, these are my daughters. He pointed to his daughters, Amelia and Isabel, their names hanging in the air like a promise. We shared a bagel topped with salmon for breakfast. Lily's laughter echoed, her chest trembling beneath the fabric. She pressed her thigh against James's arm, then sank into the chair beside him. The 4 exchanged casual words until Amelia broke the surface, asking if James had heard from Charlotte recently. For the first time in days, a frown crossed his face. Until now, he thought it was nearly impossible to feel upset around Lily, despite the strain she put on his 48-year-old body. Dad, we thought you were already missing Mom, Isabel whispered, her voice trembling. She misses you deeply, yet I believed that in my absence, she would embrace life completely. I was her anchor, even as she drifted with them in her old bed. Dad! Amelia cried out, laughter bubbling from Lily, while Isabel's face twisted in disapproval. She's not what you think. Pause and consider this for a moment. How many different guys has she spent a night with since we ended things? What about the ones I knew before I departed? Their cheeks flushed, eyes cast down in silence. Wow, 2 guys a month for 10 months? That's intense. 20 different guys, 3 men a month, 30 in total for me. Lily said, there are so many guys. James's daughters shot daggers at Lily, their glares powerful enough to bury her alive. She knew it all too well. Hey, Don't blame me if a woman can't control herself, Lily shot back. Children, children, don't spoil my perfect weekend, James urged, tension crackling in the air. Apologies slipped from the lips of the three young women, their voices a whisper of regret. Are you two together? Amelia whispered to Lily. You seem just as young as I am. Your dad claims we're the same age. Rest assured, I will never step into the role of your stepmother. We're only friends. He's incredible. He was my date at the wedding last night, and wow, he's a total heartthrob. Oh, and he's an incredible person too. Amelia admitted, he's a great guy, but we all know he can be a jerk sometimes. He's surprisingly attractive for someone who could be your father. Lily felt the heat rise to her cheeks. James felt the heat rise to his cheeks. Hey, love, don't forget, we're meeting the newlyweds' families for lunch at the hotel at noon. I have to shower and grab some clothes from my place before we leave, Lily said, urgency lacing her voice. Their eyes rolled in unison, a silent rebellion against their father. Mom, she's my age, Amelia confided during lunch weeks later, and it felt like more than just a fleeting moment. They lingered in each other's presence, time slipping away. They savored every moment together. I doubt he'll come to you anytime soon, Mom. No, you simply found him on a rare stroke of fortune. He was likely aiding a friend's child, and fortune smiled upon him. She's likely a girl who offers herself to anyone, her heart laid bare. Your dad is a good man, but he lacks that spark. Amelia shot her mother a piercing look, eyebrows arched high. Your smiles faded the moment you announced your departure. Why not just betray him in silence? Isn't that so much simpler? Have the cake, savor every bite. That's betrayal, Amelia. If he finds out, it's over for us. I laid it all bare, confident in my truth. I knew he would understand the gravity of his loss and give me what I desired. I never saw the divorce coming. I never imagined he'd actually go through with it, Mom. You confused love with fragility, believing it all rested on your shoulders alone. Was it worth it all? For the first time, Charlotte's face revealed the weight of her struggle, etched by Emma's words. What seemed promising quickly unraveled into disappointment. She couldn't tell her daughter it was normal, but deep down, she knew it wasn't worth the risk. She couldn't reveal to her daughter that she never imagined James would do anything but pine for his beautiful ex-wife. Lost in her own world, she failed to see the allure of a striking man, one with depth, smarts, and a stable career who could captivate more than just the middle-aged crowd. After the divorce, she learned her ex-husband had moved on, dating several women, including her old friend Sophie, and now a young woman who mirrored their eldest daughter's age. Rather than wallowing in his past, he dives into the dating scene like a carefree 20-year-old, drawing more attention than he ever expected. She kept quiet when she learned Sophie was dating her ex, thinking it was just a pity date. But the second date? That was too much. She leaned in close, her voice sharp and urgent. I thought we were friends, Sophie. You should be on my side. We must always stand together. But he never wronged you, Charlotte. He's a good guy, truly great. He embodies all my desires in a partner. What holds me back from dating Trev? Women are eagerly queuing for a chance to date him. He's the best of the best. Hooked on him, girl. A true gentleman, and he knows how to ignite passion. I'll say yes to him every time he asks me out. How could you push away someone like him? Charlotte's eyes widened, her mouth agape as she locked onto her friend. She felt the weight of her mistake expanding, consuming her thoughts. She adores James, yet the emptiness of her house at day's end crushes her spirit. Nighttime solitude fills her with dread. James never dreamed his life could spiral into such thrilling chaos. He found comfort in the monotony of his old life, yet beneath the surface, he felt a stirring restlessness. Life, in its own way, was good to him. Work thrives, social life ignites. He thrives in the company of women of all ages, and his encounters often lead to passionate nights. He's not seeking anything lasting right now, but the thrill of the moment was undeniably satisfying. Life holds deeper meanings beyond the allure of a beautiful partner. Patricia Hughes, her silver hair with purple streaks pulled into a ponytail, burst forth from the shadows of her Boston Go Cubs cap. Her blue Cubs t-shirt embraced her curves, while her light blue Levi's accentuated her silhouette. At 61, she commanded attention in the left field bleachers at Fenway Park, each gaze a testament to her undeniable presence. Among those scrutinizing her was James Hartley, the ex-husband of her devoted employee, Charlotte Evans. He and James found themselves at a Cubs game, the heart of their Boston weekend, where every moment pulsed with excitement. Marla had spent 15 years alongside Charlotte Evans. She remembered meeting James at corporate events, always with his then-wife. He was handsome, charming, a fleeting thought that lingered. It had been 2 years since she and Charlotte had ended it all. 5 years had passed since Marla lost her husband. Her husband, gone in an instant, taken by a cruel twist of fate. In that moment, she went on a single date, igniting a fierce determination to uncover James's phone number. Yes, James couldn't forget her. For him, forgetting a woman who radiated style and beauty felt impossible. He longs to share a dinner with her. Without hesitation, he answered. Months had passed before this moment arrived. They dined in luxury, the air thick with anticipation. The night crescendoed at the Philharmonic, where Marla's gift of tickets transformed the evening into something unforgettable. The night concluded with a passionate kiss at her doorstep. On their second date, a Saturday hike unfolded, laughter erupting as James, clearly exhausted, paused for breath along the trail. She and her late husband were passionate climbers and hikers. James believed he was fit, but he was mistaken. He discovered Marla's toned body, striking for her age, and her captivating gray eyes. The evening culminated in Marla and James entwined on the living room rug, their passionate kiss on the sofa igniting a fire that drew them closer. She captivated him, a blend of opulence and relatable charm. Marla's heart raced at James's suggestion to spend the weekend exploring Boston on their third date. On their first date, Marla confessed to James that she would never reveal their relationship to Charlotte. She wouldn't deny it if asked, but she had no intention of revealing it. Marla revealed to James that Charlotte had informed her colleagues about their impending divorce, citing irreconcilable differences. James spun the same tale for Marla, just as he had for all the others. Charlotte had betrayed him, entwined with 2 others. He left it hanging, words unspoken, a weight in the silence. In the 2 years post-divorce, James forged deep connections and embraced a vibrant, intimate life. Every partner admired him. Some even dared to dream of being the one he'd choose when he finally opened his heart to love and marriage again. Charlotte chose a path all her own. Before their first date, she confided in her then-husband that she sought satisfaction while her beauty still held power over men. She sought something different, avoiding the emotional ties that bound her partners. This stark divide between the two ex-partners loomed as a significant challenge for Amelia. As they immersed themselves in wedding preparations, her mother, buoyed by her father's generous support, dropped a bombshell. Both parents should come alone to ease the tension. Amelia eagerly embraced the idea, sharing it with her father during their lunch conversation that very week. "Is this genius thought yours or your mother's?" James's voice cut through the air. "I'm bringing a lady. This holiday is mine, and I'm ready to dive into unforgettable moments with my companion. Ever since you got engaged, I've been lost in dance lessons for a year. Did you really take dance lessons just for my wedding?" This is adorable, but no excuses, Amelia. She seems to lack anyone she trusts enough to invite. So now she's leaning on me. Once more, she plays the selfish fool, twisting everything to suit her own needs. "I'm sorry, love, but I can't attend my daughter's wedding alone. If you lack the guts to speak up, I will not hesitate to do it for you. She'll choose her path, with or without a companion. It's her decision." "I'll bring her," James declared. "Understood, Dad. I will tell her everything." "You're right, and I'm eager to see you dance. But could you bring someone older than me? I can handle this, but you need to see how Lily and I move together." James beamed, and the joy was mirrored back at him. James brought Sophie to the wedding, their hearts intertwined in the moment. James admires her in the stunning green dress, a gift from him, and his heart swells with pride. Their fight ignited over the dress he bought. James told the woman, with a mix of urgency and care, that as the father of the bride in a tuxedo, she must find a new dress. He would gladly cover the cost. "I get it, it needs shoes too," he said, his smile bright and infectious. Leading his eldest daughter down the aisle was a moment of profound joy and heart-wrenching sorrow for James. James realized the truth in every father's words he'd heard before. It was a day to remember. He, Sophie, and the kids lost themselves in joy, dancing fiercely until the night swallowed them whole. His ex-wife arrived with a new man, shattering the fragile peace of the day. James barely noticed, yet the guy couldn't stop smirking at him throughout the wedding. Then the second part unfolded with him staring and groping women like a repulsive drunk until Amelia finally demanded her mother to escort the guest away. Charlotte, flushed with embarrassment, hurriedly apologized and rushed the man out before departing with her date. Charlotte couldn't resist trailing Sophie into the women's restroom. "You're the one who took him from me," she hissed at Sophie in the cramped bathroom stall. "I swear, I've never taken a man from anyone," Sophie replied, her voice trembling. "You lost him before I even came into the picture. This divorce is solely on you. You discarded a remarkable soul for a fleeting thrill." Charlotte's face flushed deep purple, her once piercing gaze now fading into darkness. She bowed her head, frozen in place as Sophie slipped away. Sophie stayed silent, her heart heavy, unwilling to shatter their perfect moment. Months after the wedding, Isabel visited her father, her restlessness palpable. James stared at her, tension thick in the air. "Mitch, what's happening?" "Your nerves have been palpable all evening." Isabel's cheeks flushed crimson as her words tangled in her throat. James felt a chilling certainty deep within him. "Dad, Mom sometimes mentions wanting to reconcile, saying she'll win you back once she stops seeing other guys." "Wait, you two didn't share a night, did you?" she inquired. "My nightlife is not your concern, young lady," James snapped. "I swear I didn't sleep with your mother. So what now?" "Yes, she has a venereal disease, Dad." She whispered the truth, avoiding her father's gaze. Syphilis. The weight of the words hung heavy in the air, a secret shared with Emma, now a burden between them. James's surprise faded into sorrow as Isabel observed him from the side. "I suppose you're saying this out of concern for me," James said. "It is a fundamental policy to ensure that everyone at risk of the disease is urged to get tested. I had no idea." "I was so worried about you, Dad," she whispered, her voice trembling. "I can feel it. Mom is still out there, lost in her secrets. My friends cautioned me about her wild reputation. When a friend points out your mom's flaws, the air thickens with tension." A few days later, an unwelcome call from Mara shattered James's peace. He saw her fear mirrored in Isabel's, but her own health loomed larger in her mind. "If you're asking if I slept with my ex, it's not just no, it's hell no," James declared. "I get it, Mara. Your worry is valid. But I can't change the truth about my ex. She's a mess. The scandal is the best thing I've heard about her in ages. In recent months, whispers about her outings have ignited a firestorm of gossip." Mara observed that with each passing day of her single life, she sheds more of her defenses. Charlotte turned her STD into a weapon, igniting her desperate scheme to reclaim James. She felt a deep sense of fulfillment, knowing she had enough men to last a lifetime. 6 months post-cure, she launched her relentless quest to win James back. She harbored a lingering bitterness towards James for their first divorce, a twist of fate she never intended. This plan could have succeeded if only other women hadn't begun their pursuit of James. Charlotte knew she was priceless. She was blindsided by James's attraction to other women. "I get it, he's a good guy. But how can these women not see he's not even close to my level of intimacy?" As they sipped margaritas at the bar, she leaned in and whispered to Emma, anticipation hanging in the air, waiting for their dates to arrive. Emma propelled her friend into this life. She saw James's good looks, but she had no idea how profound he truly was. He always obeyed her, so she thought he would just sit and sulk while she enjoyed herself with other men. Who would have guessed the depths within James? Since Charlotte issued the ultimatum, she and Emma had been watching James closely. In reality, his post-divorce life proved to be nearly as intense as Charlotte's. If Charlotte had faced the truth, she would have seen that her ex-husband's intimate life appeared far richer emotionally. James's heart raced at the unexpected voice on the other end of the line. Nearly 2 years had passed since he last heard her voice. One of his daughters must have shared his new cell phone number. He didn't stop them, but he declared he would never speak to her directly again. "Hey, Trev." Her voice dripped with honeyed allure. "We need to talk." Now I believed we should remain silent until Mel's wedding, but with that still pending, perhaps silence will claim us once more. James, unchanged, still clinging to his denial of love for me. "But do you realize? You love me, don't you? You crave my return, just like before, James," she shot back. "You still believe the world spins for you." "Trav, I get it. You're angry, but my love for you is real. I could have deceived you, kept you unaware, but that would have been betrayal. It was still betrayal, Charlotte. Your words don't change the truth of what happened. You believed I'd always hold on to you. Do you really see me as that pathetic, Charlotte?" James said, "I know you believe you're a 10, maybe even a 12, but beyond that, you're breathtaking. The past years have taught me. I refuse to dwell in your shadow any longer. I am more than the husband of a beautiful woman. Other women crave what I possess, ready to give back emotionally. The past few years have been nothing short of extraordinary. Why would I ever choose to be with someone who disrespects me, who claims to care but never truly loved me like I loved her? Once loved, now a memory. James hung up, his gaze shifting to the woman beside him. Ready for round two? He questioned Lily. Lily discovered her soulmate and tied the knot. Yet Sophie and Mara clung to their bond with James. He loved them both deeply, yet chose solitude once more. In their own unique ways, they loved him fiercely, embracing this bond together. Years later, they received an invitation to Isabel's wedding with James. Charlotte was far from happy. She chose not to invite her boyfriend to the wedding. She poured out her heart to her daughter, yet Isabel turned away, leaving her alone in her pain. After me, Amelia and her family, Sophie and Mara are Dad's two closest people in the world, Isabel replied. They cherish Dad for his true self, prioritizing him over their own desires, something few can claim. He belonged to you, yet you abandoned him for something deeper. Why not? She feared aging, convinced he had no alternatives, believing he would cling to her, unwavering for eternity. James found contentment in his life, though it wasn't the path he had envisioned. He walked away from what he could no longer endure. Charlotte's life pulsed with connection and hope. She remained stunning, and stunning women simply had to appear for men to flock to them. Charlotte drew people in, her life a whirlwind of fleeting connections, yet none blossomed into something lasting. In hindsight, Charlotte felt a deep regret for revealing her plans to leave her husband, a decision fueled by the pain of James's swift abandonment. How could she have been so wrong? Emma Clark. She often questioned it all. How could she be a 12 while he barely reached a 6? This wasn't how it was meant to be. Thanks for watching IFIRE Story. If you love this gripping tale, smash that like button, hit subscribe, and ring the bell for more shocking Reddit stories about family drama, infidelity, and betrayal. Drop a comment with your thoughts, and we'll see you in the next story. Stay hooked.